So I recently made a video titled "The Church and Society Has Lied to You About What Biblical Marriage Is." And I had a feeling that that video would be my most unpopular video that I've ever made. And I think I was right. I had a feeling. And I left a comment on that video as well that says, I don't think a lot of people are going to like this one, but I'm not making these to be liked. I'm making these to speak truth. And then I added the verse, "If the world hates you, remember that it hated me first." That's John 15:19. So, John chapter 15, verse 19. So, since that was, I was right about that one, at least thus far, I was right about that one. I thought, why not make another video on the same topic? So here I am today to tell you not exactly the same, well, not exactly the same thing. This video is going to be different, but same general idea as that one. So the church has lied to you about what biblical marriage is, what it truly is. And I titled that video Society, or Western Society. See, the thing is that America likes to say that it's a Christian nation, a Christian country, and well, it is at the front of the Western world. So that's why I say society. When I say society, I mean Western America. And well, you know how other places they sort of pick up a little what's going on in America. Yeah, so this video is going to be about that. This is about the church, how they have lied about what biblical marriage is, how I guess we could say they've spread a false teaching. And well, a false teaching is a lie, essentially. Same thing. Potato, potato. Tomato, tomato. False teaching, lie. Same thing in the end. Yeah. So, biblical marriage. The idea spread by the church is that you have to stand in front of a priest and they have to say the things that they normally say. We are gathered here today. Do you take so-and-so to be your... And all of that. That is what is viewed as marriage, is deemed as marriage by society. And the reason for that is because of the church. They spread that around, the idea that that is what marriage is. And when you look back on history, I can kind of see why they did it. I can kind of see it a little bit. I probably can't, maybe I can kind of see a little bit why they did it. Imagine we're talking back 2,000 years ago. 2,000 years ago, let's say about 2,000 years ago, and people don't have the church as all that involved in their lives. So what's a way then that the church could have put themselves back into people's lives, or at the center of it in some way, shape, or form, so that people would have to go through them for things? Well, one way for them to do that was what we believe modern day marriage is. the idea of that ceremony with a priest and having everyone go to church and to do that. That's a way that they could keep themselves involved in people's lives, more heavily involved. And well, yeah, that's not what marriage is at all. Though it's a good lie, isn't it? And I think it got the job done, because even people who don't attend church on a regular basis, they usually go to a church to have that done. So, yeah. So, what is biblical marriage then, if that is not what biblical marriage truly is? What is biblical marriage? Well, let's use the Bible. Some verses to describe what biblical marriage is. And the first verse I'm going to use is from Genesis 2:24. So Genesis chapter 2, verse 24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. That's the first one, and that is in Genesis with Adam and Eve. So this term here, cleave unto his wife. What is cleave? Cleave means to be, we could say to be close to, is what we can say. Be in close proximity to. But what we should do here to have a really clear idea of what this word means, cleave, is we need to go back to the original word, and that is what is written in Hebrew. And the Hebrew word is davak, which means to adhere, stick, or cling to one spouse like glue, signifying an intense, voluntary, and permanent bond of loyalty, affection, and devotion. So, what we should think of the word cleave to mean, based on that, is we should think of it as intimacy. Specifically, well, they're intimate. I want to say sexual intimacy, but intimate, yeah, so we can think of it as that. So, what does that verse mean that marriage is then? It means, well, sleeping with someone, having sexual intimacy with them, that is marriage. You see how that's quite different than what the church has taught you marriage is? That's quite different, isn't it? Yeah, that is... Some people might even be upset hearing that that's what counts as marriage. And something to think about is, if that's what marriage is, that would mean that if a man has slept with a virgin woman, then he is married to that woman. Whether he went to church and he did the vows thing and all that, he's married to that woman. Technically. Whether he acknowledges or accepts that, and same for her, they're both married, because that's what marriage is. Sexual intimacy was something made only for marriage. It was designed for marriage, and so that man is married to that woman. He's her husband, and she is his wife. How about that, huh? So, the thing is, with that, this idea, before I go any further, the thing is with that, is that if they're married, that means if that woman were to go and sleep with someone else, well, she's just committed adultery, because adultery means to sleep with someone other than, she slept with someone other than her partner. well, her husband, partner, her husband, let's be using exact words, is so if she slept with someone other than her husband, she has now committed adultery. And the other man that has slept with her, well, he slept with another man's wife. Everyone's committing adultery. Yeah. So this false teaching by the church, you can kind of see how it's done a lot of harm to society, can't you? Especially if no one is fully aware that they are committing adultery, and that for women, the first man that they sleep with is their husband. Yeah. The roles of men and women are different, which is why I'm saying women. It's a little different what happens with men and women, so that's why I'm saying women. Yeah. I mean, men in the Bible, a lot of them had more than one wife, so it's a little different there. It's just a little different. We have to apply that to modern. I know some people may be caught up on the idea of one man to one wife, but it is true that in the Bible, a lot of the prophets themselves, they had multiple wives. I believe Jacob had 4 wives. And then Abraham, well, he had 2, and then he had a third one after. Yeah, so a lot of the prophets did have multiple wives. People probably don't like hearing that, though. That's not to say that every man should have multiple wives or anything like that of the sort. Sometimes people like to put words in your mouth when they hear certain things. That's not saying every man should have multiple wives, are capable of having multiple. If a man were to have, I think there needs to be certain things in place, certain prerequisites, but this isn't. Let's stick to the topic here. Let's not go into any of that. I think most men probably shouldn't have, most men maybe shouldn't even have one. Let me not say that. Let me not go that far. Yeah. So that is the first verse there that shows that intimacy it's marriage, or sexual intimacy is marriage, sex is marriage. You're married to the first man, if you're a virgin woman, that you've had sex with. And, well, he's married to the woman. I'm saying it from the perspective of the woman because of the multiple. A man can have more than one wife. That's why I'm saying it from the perspective of the woman. So there is that. That's the first verse that shows, and you might be like, you're reaching I explained to you the meaning of cleave if we go back to the original Hebrew and what that word means. But let's say you need a bit more. You're like, you know what, you're kind of reaching. I've made a really good point there, but some people might be like, you know what, I think you're reaching a little bit. I don't agree with this. Do you have anything else? Can we go a little further to prove okay, let's do that. So the next verse we're going to use here, this is from Deuteronomy 22, verse 28 and 29. And I have my notebook here. I don't know if you're able to see it. I have it in front of me. I'm holding it. That's why I'm looking. It may look like I'm looking down at my notebook here that I have. And I have a few things written. So this is about the laws concerning sexual immorality. So in Deuteronomy, it says, if a young man meets a virgin who is not betrothed and seizes her and lies with her, and they are found, then the man who lay with her shall give to the father of the young woman 50 shekels of silver, and shall be his wife. shall be his wife. Because he has violated her, he may not divorce her all of his days. The word wife is used there specifically. So, if a man meets a virgin woman who is not betrothed, engaged, and seizes her and lies with her, and they are found, the man who lay with her shall give the father 50 shekels, and shall be his wife, because he's violated her. It's said quite plainly right there. So, that's another one. A man who sleeps with a virgin, he's obligated, in this case, to fill the role of her husband. So this verse right here, it equates the act of sex to marriage. So how about that? That one says it plainly. It even uses the word wife. Let's keep going though. That right there was the law concerning sexual one of the laws on sexual immorality. Let's keep going though. So now we're going to go to this is 1 Corinthians 6:16. So 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 16. And this is about fleeing sexual immorality. And this one starts off, or do you not know that he who is joined to a prostitute becomes one body with her? For as it is written, the two will become one flesh. He who is joined to a prostitute becomes one body with her. That does not sound like a formal marriage ceremony to me, or anything that involves standing in front of someone that says, do you take? So it doesn't sound anything like that at all. So if you weren't with me with the first one, if you're like, you know what, you're reaching a little bit, okay. The second one, where the word wife is there, it's there, and it talks about the act of having sexual intimacy, sex. And now we have this one where it says, or do you not know that he who is joined to a prostitute becomes one body with her? For as it is written, the two will become one flesh. It's pretty much written plainly right there that joining to a woman, sex, it makes you one body with her. It's plainly written right there. Now that last one, that is not my favorite one exactly, because I think that one maybe blurs the line of adultery just a little bit. So I'm not a fan of that one myself personally. I believe that was that was Paul, that one. So there's that. And now I have one more for you. Maybe you're still on the fence. At this point, I've got to say, if you're telling me that there's no way that sex equals marriage, sexual intimacy equals marriage, you might be in denial just completely. So I have one more for you. And this is John chapter 4 verse 16 through 18. And this is the woman at the well. So this one is Jesus. Jesus' words. Jesus said to her, "Go, call your husband and come here." The woman answered him, "I have no husband." Jesus said to her, "You are right in saying, 'I have no husband.' For you have had 5 husbands, and the one you have now is not your husband." Something to think about with that one is 5 husbands, and the one you have now is not your husband. Now, if marriage were ceremonies, and remember this is biblical times, during the time of, well, Jesus, because Jesus is the one speaking to her, do you really think she had 5 marriage ceremonies? That she joined with someone, well, according to the church's definition of a marriage ceremony. Do you think she did that 5 times? There's a reason why this woman was why people said things about this woman, the woman at the well. Five marriage ceremonies. I don't think she had 5 marriage ceremonies. And something to pay close attention to is the last part where it says, "And the one you have now is not your husband." So if the man she's with now is not her husband, how is that possible? The previous one, number 5, is her husband, and she's committing adultery with this man that she has now who is not her husband. So I think you now know, unless you're in denial, you don't want to accept it, you don't want to agree with me, I think you now know that sexual intimacy, it's marriage. It is marriage. And, well, maybe it's a little, not the last one, the one about if a young man meets a virgin who is not engaged, betrothed. Engagement means something. It does mean something, being engaged. That is before marriage and sexual intimacy, being engaged. So I just wanted to mention and point that out. Mary and Joseph were engaged before the birth of Jesus. They were engaged, is what they were. So, I now say it again to you. Sex is marriage. And the church, Western society, it's what you believe marriage to be, what you see it as, biblical marriage, it is a false teaching. it is a lie. Marriage, sex is marriage. And if a woman is sleeping with a man who is not the first man that she was, the man that took her virginity, she is committing adultery if it's another man other than her husband. And that man who is sleeping with her, the other man, he's sexual immorality as well. So there you have it. Sex is marriage. You now know the truth. You now know the truth. This isn't an end times video. Some of you may get that reference, or you may not. This isn't an end times video, but on the end times videos that I have made, the two that are there at present, Godlessness in the Last Days, you can kind of understand that if everyone is sinning in this way, well, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people are sinning in this way. They are committing adultery unknowingly, without realizing it, again and again and again and again. Committing that, the things society teaches you, the world, just because they're not aware of it, what it is that they're doing, doesn't mean that there isn't a consequence. Just because they don't carry the guilt of it, the awareness, the knowledge of it, there are still consequences to that, to what it is that they're doing. And because of that lack of awareness, they might just continue doing it, committing sin. And committing sin it'll affect them. It'll affect their heart. And because they don't even know that they're committing sin, and they're doing it more and more and more, they have these sins which they'll never seek forgiveness for, because they're not even aware that they've committed these sins. They have no idea at all. There is no guilt over these sins that they've committed. And because of this, because of these things like this, false teachings, lies, twisting of Scripture, the Word, teachings, this is how we got here. Godlessness in the last days. This is part of, well, those things. That's how we got here. now you know. You've been made aware. And I have a request of you, now that you're aware, and now that you know. Please share this video with everyone. As many people as you know, so that they can become aware too, so that they can know. So that they can know of the sins that they've committed or they haven't committed yet. You can stop someone from sinning, from making this mistake, from committing adultery unknowingly. You can stop so many people by sharing this video. You can stop people who haven't committed adultery yet, and you can stop those that are committing it and are unaware, possibly. There are a lot of people that you can help by sharing this video with them. So my request to you is that you please share this video with as many people as possible so that they have the chance to know and be aware and to seek forgiveness for the sin that they have been unknowingly committing, possibly again and again and again. Please share this video. They'll never ask for forgiveness if they're unaware, and you can stop someone from ever committing adultery in the first place. Sex in society is something that casual. That word should not exist in the same sentence as the word sex. Those two words should never be used together. They should have never been associated with, have that. And for anyone out there that maybe you don't believe, but you like listening to me, so that's why you're listening to me speak. There's more to it than just the Bible, than just scripture, the different books. There's more to it than that. There is biology, and the things it says happens when a woman has sex with a man. There are things that science tells about, and it's right in line with scripture, right in line with it. So maybe you don't believe. There's science. There's science out there on this. And psychology. Thank you for listening. Thank you. Be well and go in peace.